look at this perfectly lit wall of glowing green servers. In many organizations, a flawless performance dashboard is treated as a victory. In reality, it is often the very first sign of an impending crash. Operational failures rarely arrive as dramatic, unpredictable events. They build quietly. Day after day, a system can drift toward collapse while the metrics look entirely acceptable. Leadership teams sit in meetings repeating the exact same talking points with slightly different numbers, completely unaware of the pressure building underneath. We have built operations that monitor execution flawlessly, but they lack a voice. They have no way to express early risk. The signals exist, occupancy creeping up, buffers thinning, but the system is completely mute. This timeline shows exactly how that disconnect happens. Up top, your performance metrics stay perfectly flat and green, but down below, hidden risk is accumulating, steadily turning red. Because the system cannot speak up, a solid forecast inevitably decays into last-minute firefighting. By the time the damage is undeniably visible, the only thing left is urgency. The underlying data begins to shift, occupancy rates tick upward, and operational buffers wear thin. In response, organizations generate massive performance packs filled with metrics. They send out the numbers. Data moves faster than meaning. Chaotic raw data is useless until it compresses into a clear causal story. Yet translated information fails on the wrong desk. If it doesn't match their language, it bounces off. Messages must adapt to the decision maker. Relevance drives action. Delivering an untranslated spreadsheet to a misaligned audience isn't providing insight. It is generating noise. And noise provides excellent cover for everyone to delay taking responsibility. The pressure eventually breaches the surface, backlogs grow, and teams start burning out. The stress is visible on the floor, yet leadership holds back on making a move. In this Venn diagram mapping finance, HR, and operations, a warning signal flashes in the center. Because it sits between functions, operations sees a budget issue, finance sees poor execution, and HR sees temporary stress. Everyone points away from the problem. No single department owns the signal, so no one makes a decision. Instead, the organization waits, and the system itself is forced to absorb the cost of that hesitation through rising attrition and exhausted employees. The tension builds until the dashboard finally flashes red and violently snaps. Leadership steps in, believing they are making difficult decisions under extreme pressure. This chaos is the result of a timing failure. Capacity gaps were visible months in advance, but treated as monitoring points rather than decision points. This chart tracking the economics of latency illustrates what happens when you wait. As you delay, the cost of your decision climbs higher, while available options drop to zero. Urgency eliminates choice, leaving you paying off operational debt through rushed hiring. Once the dust settles, immature organizations rarely ask what the system is trying to teach them. Instead, they start looking for someone to blame. They respond to the crash by tightening targets, adding layers of control, and demanding louder accountability. The exact same post-mortem meetings repeat quarter after quarter, just with different names attached to the failures. A mature system handles failure completely differently. It observes itself. A missed forecast automatically updates future assumptions. A scheduling failure immediately reshapes the operational rules. The organization adapts and moves forward without the drama. When you introduce blame into the equation, you guarantee that the exact same collapse will happen again. You are attacking individuals instead of listening to the flaws in your own design. If learning remains optional, the cycle of failure will always reset. To stop the drift, an organization needs a framework that turns insight into an obligation. This framework is governance. It is the deliberate mechanism that assigns clear ownership to signals and thresholds before urgency sets in, ensuring that when the system speaks, someone is required to answer. Think of it as a structural bridge. Here, we have an open loop of operational insight, leaking energy. When governance snaps into place, it captures that learning and funnels it directly into action. Without that bridge, organizational memory is incredibly short. The system simply resets, completely forgetting the costly lessons it just paid to uncover. Operational resilience is built by systems that translate quiet warnings into owned, decisive actions. This structure forces a simple choice: listen and act while options are still available, or wait until the only thing left is the emergency. The choice is whether leadership is willing to act before their choices disappear entirely.